So the next piece we're going to carve is the Kashira, which essentially serves as an end cap for the ska, and that way is related to the Fuchi because they both essentially serve the same purpose. As you can see, you've got your ska here that we've carved, and it sits on the end. This would be made out of metal or like buffalo horn, a solid material. And what this does is it both protects the end grain of your ska, and it also, because you've got your seam here and here from the two halves that would be made in a traditional ska, protects that seam from opening up down here at the bottom from any pressure that might be applied to the seam. So that's basically what it does. I mean, it serves as an end cap, and like I said, you've got both pieces, so it protects the ends of your ska. They're also, Kashira and Fuchi are also related in terms of construction for this tutorial. We've got two pieces of 1/4-inch wood that we've been using for both. Again, here is your top piece and a bottom piece, one to serve as a border piece and one to serve as the cap. And for the Kashira, we've got two pieces, again a border piece and also a cap. The two differences are, of course, that this has a hole for your tang, and this doesn't, but it does have a slit, or a hole through both sides, so that can accommodate your ito. We're actually going to thread our ito through this when we do the skamaki, or handle wrapping, and again you'll see that in that video. But those are the differences. So in terms of construction, like I said, there's basically two pieces of 1/4-inch wood, and you can see where the seam is right there. I've marked it for you. So the first thing we need is we need a 1/4-inch piece of wood, and all we're going to need to do is take the bottom of our ska, put it down there, and just trace around it. Once you've traced around it, you're going to remove all this material in here inside to create a hole for the bottom of your ska, so it recesses into the Kashira. And then once you've cut that out, whether you chisel out a hole and then file out the rest of it, or you drill a hole with a drill and then you use your coping saw to cut the rest of it out, excuse me. Either way, once you've done that, you're going to cut out a piece that's fairly much larger than the hole you've cut out, and that way you just don't work with a frail, ito thick piece. So you should have something like this. At this point, and again, all of this is actually removed, so this would actually be a hole here. The side that you trace the bottom of your ska onto, just mark a little T or a little circle or something to mark that this is the top. Okay, and the notch that we're going to be carving is going to be in the bottom of this piece. Okay, so basically all we're going to do is, once you're this far, you would want to take your ska and place it into the hole, and you would just find the center of your ska on both sides and mark that center line onto this piece that we're working with, and do it for both sides. You can see I've got it here. And then you're going to take your ito, whatever you're using, and you're going to stretch it over the piece that we're working with and mark the other side of it. So, I mean, this is not quite stretched. You want to make sure this is stretched when you do it, but you want to do it that way and that way. Okay, and then you go to the other side of center, line it up with the center mark again, and mark the outsides again. And this allows us to ensure that both pieces of the ito will go through this slit side by side, which is what we're going to be doing when we actually get to the handle wrapping. Then we're just going to transfer those outside lines on the sides down to the bottom of this piece. And then we're just going to mark out where our notch is going to be, how deep our notch is going to be. And this distance, I've just freehanded on this, but it's actually going to be the same, the depth of this is going to be the same thickness as your ito again. And actually a little bit thicker might be better, just so you don't have to work too hard to get your ito through it when we get that far. So just a little bit deeper than the thickness of your ito would be great. And on both sides you would mark that, whatever that is. Like I said, I've just freehanded this, so you need to find that out for your ito. And then you're just going to kind of connect the lines here between that and that. And like I said, remember, this is just a hole in the piece of wood. Use your imagination. You're going to take your saw, and again this is the bottom of the piece, And you're just going to take your saw and cut out that notch down to the depth that you've marked on the sides. And do it again here. And then you're just going to take your utility knife and just kind of clean it up so it's a nice square hole. You just cut in down to the depth of your saw cut, and then you'd come back on this side and do it that way. Do it for both sides. And then you've completed this part of it, and all you're going to do is once you have your notch and all this piece inside cut out, you're just going to put the glue on and glue it down to the next piece of 1/4" wood that you've got. Once the glue is dried, then of course you cut out all of this around it so that you've got 2 pieces of 1/4" glued together in the square shape, and then you're just going to shape it down, and you're going to shape it down until you've got this thickness, which is the thickness of your Ito again. That nasty thickness of your Ito keeps propping up. Anyways, so you've got this border piece, the same thickness as your Ito, and then you're pretty well done. Once you've got that overall shape applied on this way, and then for the top, or the cap part that you glued on, you can kind of either leave it, you can leave it square, like your Fuchi is, if that appeals to you. You can actually bring down the thickness. It doesn't have to stay a 1/4" thick. You can actually cut it down so it's only that much, higher than the slit you carved, so it's equal, spacing between these two. But that's why I kind of gave you a little bit extra space up here, so you can kind of do whatever you want. Me, I've kind of rounded it slightly on the top, so it's just this nice round bevel on the top, which I like. And again, you can do whatever you kind of want. Something to keep in mind is once you're this far, of course, you can see there's a little bit of surface area on the top here that you might want to do something with. You might not. And again, that might fit into your design, or it may not. If you just want to leave it plain, that's fine. Another thing to keep in mind is if this slit in here is a little too complicated, or if it's something you just don't want to do, you can actually just, once we do it, the skamaki, essentially what we've done is instead of sliding your Ito through here, you would actually just take your Ito and wrap it all the way to the other, over your Kashira, and then tie your knot over here. So you just wrap it over instead of through. But I'm going to show you how to do it through, but it's the same knot. I mean, there's no knot on top here. It's just you go over it or through it. Now the only thing that you need to know from here, once you've completed your Kashira, and it's all carved, what you need to do is you actually need to notch out the bottom of your tang. And again, the reason is because this is going to recess as deep as you've carved out, but you can see that the slit we carved is actually higher than this bottom plane. So if you were to carve that slit, but you didn't carve a notch in your tang to accommodate that, you would actually be trying to, shove it through your tang, which, good luck. But I don't think it's going to work. So you just need to make sure that you take a pencil or some sharp object that you can get into the slit here, or you can just freehand it onto your tang, and just make sure that you have that depth on both sides, and then you're just doing it again. Draw your line across the bottom, same as two widths of your Ito, here and here, and then carve it that depth. You can just use your saw or your chisel or your knife, however you want to do it. Just make sure you have that notch there to match the notch or the slit in your Kashira, and you'll be all set. So I hope that covers everything. And once we're done with this, we're almost done with the construction of the katana, the whole thing. The only thing left to do is to cut out our mekawi pen hole, which will be around right here. And all we're going to need for that is you're going to need to get something like an 1/8" dowel piece. And we're just going to cut a hole out and stick the pen in, and that'll be our mekawi pen. But we also need to know where to place it. So you're going to need your Ito. But we'll cover it in the next video.